Hello, welcome to another Magic the Gathering Altered Art tutorial. We haven't done these in a while, but whenever I'm thinking about it, whenever I'm thinking while I'm making the card, I'm thinking this would be a great tutorial. This is something that I've learned and I want to pass on to other altarists or people who are interested in how altars get done. So today we're going to talk about picking your colors. We're not going to talk about the paint I use. Paint I use are Arteza and Golden. But we're going to talk about what is on the card and how to figure out what your palette is going to be. So right now we're going to do an Ishkana Graph Widow. I am really tight on there so you can see most of the art. What we're going to be choosing is literally, I'm trying to figure out all of the colors that are going to be on this card. All of the colors I want to have out of my box and on my desk. I'm going to be using a wet palette. Oh god, this is all. So my wet palette is a Tupperware top with a sponge and then a cutout piece of t-shirt on top of that. I get that extremely wet. Like I wet it, I let it soak in, I wet it again, I let it soak in, and I'm going to put a piece of Reynolds wrap over the top of it, that wax paper. Once I do that, I am going to want to put paint on top of it. I want to put or have out most of what I'm going to use. So I'm going to look in. I'm going to start. Let's start with the top. There's kind of like two parts to this card. Let's take out a tool so you can see what I'm talking about. So this top part up here definitely has some white. So I'm going to get some Titan white from Golden. Wonder if this is too tight. Oh yeah, I've worn away where it says the name of this. Some Titan white from Golden. I am also going to get gray from Arteza. Boop. It's kind of like a catch-all between this like black and green. What's really hard to figure out sometimes for people, my voice is gonna like kind of go off to the side here as I'm talking as well. What'd I do? This is really sloppy. I'm getting sloppy now. So I have my box of paints over to the side. It's so my voice is gonna kind of go off to the side. So this part up here is going to be a cold gray. If you look at cold gray, it is like a bluish gray, you can kind of see. Now, it doesn't really look like too much of that is in there, but there's a tiny, tiny whisper of the kind of blue that's in cold gray. So I'm going to take this cold gray out, use a little bit of it, and probably mix it with the next color I want, which is emerald green from Arteza. I like using Golden as much as possible, but Golden didn't make an emerald green that I could find, but Arteza makes a really, really good one. That is this color, like kind of around her. This like minty yellow green is emerald green. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this color mostly. And then you're going to start seeing like all of these parts that the Christine Choi made. She had some really interesting color choices to kind of break up the card, so it's not all green. Off to the sides here, I think I have it covered with just a straight up black. I use a Mars black. There could possibly be a better black I can use, but I use Mars black by Golden. I've said it 1,000 times on Magic cards, there's no true black or true white. When you pour a true black, a Mars black from Golden, it is going to be way darker than what you see on any Magic card. So please put a little bit of brown, a little bit of gray in your Mars black. Never just put Mars black straight onto your card. But I do need a black for this. This is very dark on the edges where I'm going with this, so I do need a black. I don't know if I'm going to need a yellow, but my rule when I start painting is to kind of get every color out and on my desk. Whether I use it or not, I want it close to me. So, you know, if I'm really, really feeling it, I can go grab it. So I'm going to use a yellow pale from Arteza. I think I might use a little bit of yellow just to kind of soften the emerald green. To be honest, any yellow, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit is going to make you go very, very far. My yellow, I normally mix with a lot of white, a lot of gray, a lot of brown, a lot of black. So you just pour a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of yellow and use a tiny, tiny bit of yellow in your greens, in your grays, and it's going to go very far. I mean, that tiny little tube is going to last me forever because I pour the tiniest, tiniest bit out. Now, I think I have all of this settled. I think I have all the colors I'm going to need for up here. I may need an ochre. I really don't think I do. Down here, this smoke, definitely black and white gray. There is a little bit in there, as you have to like stare at it. You really have to take your time. I use a very, very white light on it. Take your time, let your eyes adjust. This is a little bit of purple. I see it now. I see the purple in there. There might be a little bit of brown, but I will figure that out as I go. If you know, my first attempt at making this purple smoke is extremely small amount of purple, very gray smoke. If it doesn't work, I'm going to, you know, pull in some brown. I think that might work. So I think it's going to be the mauve pale from Arteza. However, I do have violet. Now, these are the two purples I use for everything. I have no other purples. I have very cool-looking blues, very cool-looking magentas, but actual purples, I only use mauve pale or violet. Violet is definitely on the blue side. Mauve pale is on the red side. It's very true to purple. However, it's like very light. It's got a lot of gray, a little white already in it. But I believe the mauve pale is going to be my winner. As I am working this out, I am never ever going to think that I know more right now as I'm talking to you than I will in an hour in the future while I'm painting it. So keep your box of paints very close by, and know that, you know, I could use some Payne's Gray in here. I could use some browns in there, some raw umbers in here. I could use some browns in all the blacks over here. All of this, I mean, actually, I'm looking right now. This little guy right here. You know what? As I'm talking and I'm staring at it, I see it. This is going to be some burnt sienna over here. A tiny little bit of burnt sienna is going to go into here. And I'm going to just work the burnt sienna and black and emerald green up here. A little bit over here. Yeah, I see some brown over here. See this like really, really red, orange, brown. That's what your burnt sienna is. So I'm going to use that around here, use that up here, just a tiny bit, in my blacks, in my greens, boop, 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 and that's going to blend it really, really nice. It's also okay for you to paint the card however you want, with what you think your palette is going to be, and then once it's done, it's dried, really, really get your head in there. Get your little face into the card, and really be like, okay, do these spider webs match up? You know, when you made your spider webs, these look good. Is this color on top the same as it is on the bottom, or very close to, like the light source is coming from the top? You want to really go back and make sure that your card makes sense. Like, okay, does this card make sense? Now that it's dry, you know, maybe the next day after you're done drinking. I mean, I definitely have a drink while I'm painting. You can see my my cocktail off to the side. You know, I definitely do these with a drink or two inside me. I'm never going to shame you for whatever escape you want to make in this world. But come back to it sometimes with different eyes. And just see if you can put some little details in there, if your color blending was correct. If this emerald green that I'm not using any other green. I think emerald green plus all the things I have is going to work on this. I could come back and be like, you know what? On the sides here, it's more blue. You know, it's more black up top. I use too much green. Come back to it with good eyes. Never think, especially if it's your first time altering a card. I know for me, I sell a lot of cards that like I've done 10,000 times. I've done probably 20 Obecas, you know, like, so I kind of know, okay, I know what it's supposed to look like. I know when I'm done. I know all the parts and pieces that I do onto it. For this is my first Ishkana. I am going to come back to this tomorrow morning. I'm going to pour myself some coffee, make a little bacon and eggs, and I'm going to look at this and make sure that that cold gray that I'm going to put on top was correct. So this is your reminder from me, Steve, to, first of all, drink water. Drink some water, okay? This is me telling you, drink some water. Secondly, make sure that if you're happy with the card, you give it 12 hours, you come back to that card. You look at that card again. You don't have to give it to a friend or a partner or a stranger on the internet and say, hey, did I do a good job? That's not for them to decide. You're the artist. You did the job that you wanted to do on this. But check back in with that artist. That artist inside you. Say, does this make sense? Because I have a feeling I'm going to have trouble with this little tombstone area over here. I'm going to make sure the tombstones are the correct size, correct color. What's behind the tombstones? Are these little brown tombstones going back? I think they probably will. You know, like, I want to make sure that this makes sense. And I need to look at it twice to do so. So I implore you to do the same, saying that. I am your Sifu if you're listening to me right now. Obviously, you're trying to learn something about altering magic cards. Thank you so much for watching. Drink water in between every drink. Every cocktail you make, chug a little bit of water in between each one. Don't hurt yourself with the water consumption, but make sure you're drinking water. Like and subscribe, ring the bell, blah, 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 blah. Goodbye, everybody.